What is going on, guys? I'm OptimusPhillip, and the latest and probably last trailer for Percy Jackson and the Olympians Season 2 has just dropped minutes ago. So I'm going to be doing a live reaction. I have not watched this yet, so I'm just going to let it play, resist the urge to pause and comment, and then once it's over, I'll go back and look through and point out anything that I find interesting. So let's just get into it.
You guys get nightmares, right? I usually
His
get
voice sounds so different now.
Or try to kill me. My name is Percy.
Apparently he actually hurt himself during that. I've read in press release.
Didn't have the dream?
About Grover?
About camp.
The danger the camp is under is greater than you can possibly imagine.
What about Grover? You know where he is?
The Grey Sisters see all.
They only have one eye.
Look who's talking.
I'll see you out there.
Okay, they actually see,
If the tree falls, the barrier falls, then camp will be open to any attack.
and there are multiple giants.
Save Grover. Percy, you gotta find him! Save camp.
First look at Polyphemus.
For the key to our survival, you must quest to the Sea of Monsters.
Oh, is that Scylla? That's an interesting design. Yeah, we got more of that song. What does?
They take care
What
of
was
each
that?
other. That's what real heroes do.
Kill the son of Poseidon.
Sorry!
You can't give up on your family.
Perseus.
And Poseidon shows up in person.
I'm not gonna let some stupid monsters stand in my way.
Okay, so sorry I kind of talked over that. So there were some parts that I didn't hear, but let's go back and get to see the Stymphalian birds, and honestly, they look all right. They're like, I can definitely tell they're CGI, but I like how they blended the bronze beak into the body. I always kind of imagined it as being like some kind of prosthetic, but it looks like they're actually integrating it into the anatomy, which is, I think it makes for an interesting look. It's a little weird, but, you know, it's mythology. Weird shit. Okay, so yeah, they're doing another thing that the movie did for some reason. I don't know why they keep copying the movies. Rick really hates them. But yeah, so yet again, we have Percy, and this time Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson, they all see Luke attack the tree. Okay, first of all, the tree is supposed to have already been poisoned before they get there. Like, they arrive to find the camp turned into a war zone because it's been under attack for, like, weeks. So, okay, so we're not going to get that contrast right off the bat, which is a little disappointing. And, again, why they're doing what the movie did, I have no clue.
I'll see you out there.
Okay, and it looks like Luke is riding Blackjack, which, yeah, that actually does make a lot of sense. He never actually did it in the book, but he does refer to him, or stupid thing from the books. Blackjack was originally described as a mare, but for the rest of the series would become a stallion. So I think they're probably just gonna have it be a him. So yeah, so Luke did refer to Blackjack as his steed. So yeah, having him ride actually does make a lot of sense. I actually like that. I like that they show that off. And we have multiple Lystragonians attacking the camp now. Yeah, if you recall from my video on the leaked scenes, yeah, my suspicion that they're replacing the bulls, the Colchis bulls, with the Lystragonians, I'm still getting that impression, and I'm getting more of that impression now than before, which, like, I've said it in that video, but for those who might not have seen it, you know, spoiler reasons, yeah, I think that is really cheap. This is, like, a pretty big budget show. Like, it's up there with, like, Game of Thrones, I'm pretty sure, in terms of budget. They shouldn't be having to work around budgets like this. It's stupid. And I do think the Colchis Bulls were a cool visual. Like, the one they did show in Sea of Monsters looked really cool. I would have liked to see that scene play out like in the book with the two bulls that they have to go back and forth between. That would have been cool. I'm really disappointed that we might not be getting that. Okay, let's go back all the way. So yeah, we get more of this scene where instead of just the tentacle showing up and destroying the ship, it's actually dragging Grover out into the sea. Is that how Polyphemus captures him? I don't think so, considering that they made a big point about having the wedding dress in this show, and he's clearly not in any position to acquire one. I mean, unless he's going to, like, put one together in Polyphemus's cave somehow. For those who haven't read the book, in the book, Grover is running from Polyphemus in, like, Florida, some tropical place, and the first place he stumbles into to hide is a wedding boutique, and he just grabs a wedding dress and uses that as a disguise. I don't think that's going to be how it happens here, if that is what's actually happening in the scene and not some random, unrelated monster attack. Which I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be, considering that would just be redundant. So yeah, what's going on here? Okay, so it's definitely hard to tell from this angle, but I think that might be a wedding dress over his regular shirt or whatever. So, okay, so maybe they are going to do that route, but he's also, like, bound and gagged. I don't quite know what that's about, because, like, the whole thing is that when Polyphemus captures Grover, he thinks that he's a Cyclops bride, so so Polyphemus puts Grover into this room with a loom where he can weave his wedding train, and he does the whole Penelope thing, unravels it to stall for time, but yeah, I wonder what the whole binding and gagging thing is. Is this after he gets outed to Polyphemus and he gets tied up to serve as the meal? I suppose that makes sense, and I guess that's a neat visual for the trailer. Scylla, if this is actually Scylla, because okay, yeah. So I think this is supposed to be Scylla. You can see one of the guys getting pulled up. It's an interesting take on a Scylla design. I don't know if that's kind of okay. So yeah, there might be some weird perspective stuff going on, because at first it looked like Scylla was like this big, like that big round rock looking thing with the tentacles coming down from the bottom. But looking at it more closely, it looks like that might just be like the cave where the tentacles are coming out of, and like the lighting is lighting the fog or kind of creating these weird optical effects that make it look like some kind of flying saucer type deal. I will say that I can't remember if the books use the dog or snake version of Scylla. This does not look like either one. This looks more like I almost want to say like an organic version of Doc Ock's, like tentacle arms, like the segmented limbs. So yeah, definitely doing something interesting with the design of Scylla. I'm not sure how far they're going, because I can't tell where Scylla ends and the mountain begins. So something to look forward to. Definitely gonna be weird either way. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. Wait a minute. Oh, okay, so, at first I was wondering, like, because I noticed that is the Aegis shield. For those who don't know their mythology or don't know Percy Jackson, That is a shield that belonged to Zeus, or at least, so in mythology, Zeus had a shield which he later gave to Athena, and when Perseus killed Medusa and cut her head off, he gave the head to Athena, and she mounted Medusa's face on the shield so that it would have like that sort of magical fear repelling death thing. I think the different stories tell different versions of what Medusa's face does on the shield. Pretty sure it's supposed to like petrify any mortals that see it, but gods are just afraid of it. And in the Percy Jackson books, Thalia gets a version of that shield from Zeus, and it doesn't have the real Medusa's face. It has, and that does kind of track here. This is like a relief of Medusa's face. It's supposed to still have that same effect of, like, it doesn't actually petrify people, but it scares them, makes them think they're gonna get petrified the way Medusa, like, instinctively repels people. So at first I was wondering who has that shield in Season 2, but then I realized that they seem to be doing a, I think this might be a flashback starring Thalia. So, okay, I guess we are getting that, which would explain why Tamara Smart, her casting was such a big deal. I will say, I do find it a little weird that they have the actress for adult Thalia playing her in what are supposed to be flashbacks. At least I'm pretty sure these are flashbacks, because this is not like any scene that is described in the book as far as I can recall. Maybe this is supposed to be them at the warehouse where they find Annabeth, but even then, I don't know. Or maybe this is the Cyclops house in Brooklyn. That would actually make a lot more sense. Still don't know who the two guys in the background will be, though. Okay, so yeah, that was definitely Thalia. So I was confused, but it all got cleared up. So let's see what this is. Because yeah, when this popped up, I had no idea what I was looking at. Yeah, this does not look like any creature that is described in the book, at least not in this book. I can't tell if these are supposed to be like some weird take on the sirens, because they are paired up with Annabeth in this sequence here. I don't know if these are... Maybe these are supposed to be some weird take on the sirens, or maybe these are some kind of original monster. I don't know. Either way, I'm very concerned. Again, I don't know why they keep adding new stuff, especially considering that last season they kept having to cut stuff to make that work. But again, I know they're getting longer episode lengths, and Sea of Monsters is also a short book to begin with, so hopefully this is just them taking advantage of extra time and not, giving time away from actual book stuff for new stuff. I'll admit, this does look really cool, but I just don't know what it is or why it's here. Okay, so this is another one that interested me. This appears to be the Kronos sarcophagus. So yeah, I don't have the book on hand, so I can't recall offhand how it's described in the book. I don't remember it being like this. I do like this design. It does kind of have that, cracked and segmented look that would, suggest Kronos being in pieces. Yeah, this looks more like a literal sarcophagus like in Egypt. I think in the books it was more like a square coffin, and it was gold with all kinds of like relief art on it. I think the movie actually got this detail fairly close. I could be mistaken, but this looks like a very new take on the sarcophagus, and I'll admit, I do like the look of it. I do kind of miss the relief artwork. If that was actually a thing, I don't know, that probably would look better, but I do kind of like this just as it is. It still reads very well. Oh, I just noticed they have some artwork on the back wall. That might be... I don't know if I'm getting things mixed up or if they're just doing something different, but either way, I don't think I mind this. I don't think I mind this at all. This looks really cool. And we get more shots of this big battle happening at Camp Half-Blood between the demigods and Luke's army. So yeah, this is something that did not happen at any point in these books, in Sea of Monsters, I should say. The first time that there was an actual battle between Luke's forces and the demigods, that doesn't happen until book 4 with the Battle of the Labyrinth. So what on earth is going on here? Why are they doing this? I don't understand. This feels weird. This feels wrong. I thought the whole point of the books was to slowly build up to this conflict happening. I don't get this. I don't get why they're doing this at all. It feels contrary to the point. Okay, so we got Lin-Manuel Miranda back as Hermes, and that is actually a line from the book, so they're clearly doing... So this is actually accurate. They're actually showing Hermes doing stuff he actually did in the book instead of doing completely new stuff. And we get this shot of Percy hugging Sally in the woods. This feels a little odd to me. I don't remember this happening in the books. I'm pretty sure that, Sally stayed in Manhattan the entire time. I don't know what the context is for this. If Sally's going to show up to camp at some point, she shouldn't be able to, I'm pretty sure, because, the whole magical barrier thing. But, I don't know. This is just a one shot out of context. I don't quite understand it, but I feel like it might make more sense once we actually get the full thing. So, this I'm willing to wait and see on. Okay, and yeah, Poseidon showing up in person to talk to Percy. So, this is definitely something that did not happen in the book. As I recall, the only direct contact between Percy and Poseidon was Poseidon sending Percy a letter at the end of the book, and it was a two-word letter. So it was like played up as kind of like this half joke, half seriously, who is this guy moment. So yeah, they never meet, they never interact in this book. I'm curious what the context is, because this looks like they're at camp with all the pine trees around. Yeah, I'm curious what the context is. Is this after Percy gets back from his quest? That would line up with when Percy receives the letter, but then we're not going to get that funny bit with the two-word letter, so that's a little bit of a loss. Or is this like after the battle with Luke's army, and my prediction from the last trailer was right, that the trident that we see come in is Poseidon? Yeah, either way, I don't quite get it. Either we're missing out on the brace yourself letter, or we're just getting a bunch of completely new stuff. Okay, so we are getting the encounter with Charybdis, not surprised there. This does actually, it's a little hard to see when just going through it, but yeah, you can definitely see the teeth coming out. I still don't see any braces or moss, so I guess this version of Charybdis also has some pretty good oral hygiene like the movie version. I'm sorry, I hate to recycle a joke, but yeah, in the book, Charybdis is described as having very mossy teeth and these very crude braces. It's kind of played for comedy, and also to just kind of make her a little bit more, disgusting in that way. I'll admit, it does kind of annoy me how the show takes away some of, like, the subtle comedic elements. So maybe that whole scene with Poseidon was going to replace the brace yourself note. I'm sorry, it's just that Percy Jackson, the books were so funny, and it does kind of annoy me that they're making the show less funny in specific areas. Hopefully they'll play a bit more of the comedy up in this version, if not the same jokes from the book, then they're doing new ones, or playing up some ones that were in the book. So I will say I do kind of like the bit they do with the Grey sisters, where they finish each other's sentences. I don't believe that's... I can't remember if that was in the book or if that's something they are adding for this show based on, other stuff. I know that the Hercules movie did something similar, so that's at least fun. I do kind of like that. I don't know if it's book accurate, but either way, I'm in favor. Okay, a couple things I'm noticing about this scene. One is that they are kind of highlighting Luke's scar a bit more in this. I do like that. It's still not quite as gnarly as it was in the book, but at least this time it's more noticeable than it was in season 1, where it was just kind of like that faint red line. And also, yeah, they do specifically say in the trailer that it was poison. So they aren't doing some weird thing where it's like Luke stabbed the tree and that's why it's dying. No, there presumably was poison on the blade. So yeah, they're not doing any funny business with that. I like that. It makes sense. Yeah, we get another look at Polyphemus. We only saw him like a brief silhouette in the last trailer. Here, it's not much of a better look, but we do get to see like a little bit of what his face looks like. And I kind of like this. It's a very standard Polyphemus design. You got the one eye in the center of the face, the bald head. I actually can't remember if the bald head was a thing in the myths or in the books, or if that's just a pop culture thing. Either way, I like it. It feels very familiar to me. Maybe it's just I'm remembering seeing the 90s TV miniseries of the Odyssey where they had that big Odysseus. I think it was a puppet, and it kind of does remind me of that in some ways. So maybe that's where I'm getting this familiarity from. I like it, is what I'm trying to say. So I'm only just now noticing this. We see Annabeth and Clarice together on the Princess Andromeda. That does not happen in the book because Annabeth and Percy board the Princess Andromeda before meeting Clarice, and by the end, when they're taken back to the ship, Clarice has already left with the Fleece on the plane back to New York. So, again, it seems like they're dropping that bit where Clarice flies home with the Fleece to beat Luke. That's a bit of a weird change for me, because in the book, there's a prophecy which specifically says that Clarice will fly home alone. So, are they just going to send her ahead of them just because? I mean, if they're not sending her ahead to avoid Luke, what's the point at all? So, this is interesting to me. We see Percy and Annabeth on this little, I don't know what it's called. It's not quite a dinghy because it has a mast and sails, but it is certainly not the full-scale Queen Anne's Revenge. So yeah, I'm definitely curious as to what this is. As I recall in the books, they went from the Princess Andromeda to its lifeboat to the CSS Birmingham to one of that ship's lifeboats, and then they arrive at Cersei's Island, and they take the Queen Anne's Revenge, and they stay on that boat for the rest of the quest. I don't recall them ever being on a boat this small in comparison. So yeah, we might be looking at a completely new boat, which, again, I would not necessarily be opposed to if it doesn't mean they're taking time away from, actually adapting the book. But at the same time, I do feel kind of weird they are just adding stuff for the sake of it. Maybe it'll make sense, I don't know. But that's just how I feel in the moment. Okay, so we do get a brief glimpse of Cersei and Percy as a guinea pig. I'm guessing that's Percy because he's center of the frame, and so yeah, so we knew that Cersei was going to be in this. She had been cast. There was no reason to believe that she'd been cut for any reason. This also doesn't tell us anything. We only see a couple frames, and it lines up with what's in the book, but there's a lot of room that they could have changed this, and there are some changes that I am kind of worried that they did make, having them recognize her. So this does not confirm or deny that in any way. It's just here. But yeah, we also get another shot of Polyphemus here. And, okay, yeah, this actually, it's moving, so I have to freeze frame it just right, but yeah, it does give us a little bit more of a clear look. He looks very fat, is the impression I'm getting from this. And that does kind of make some sense. He is a bit of a glutton, as I recall. He eats the sheep, he eats the cheese, and he doesn't really do a whole lot else besides, tend to them. So, I suppose this does make sense. I am noticing the clothing is a bit off from how I remember it in the books, because I remember him wearing, fairly modern style clothing. This looks a bit more old school, more classical. I don't know if he's gonna have, different outfits for different scenes, because he does in the book. And I just noticed, skipping ahead, Ares is here. I wasn't sure if they were going to include him, but he is here. I mean, maybe there was a casting thing and I just completely missed it, but it is good to see they're giving him some screen time. He does have a cameo in the book. It's not like this. I don't know what this is supposed to be. But if his cameo from the book is maintained, then this would kind of be a nice little satisfying cap-off where it does seem like he's genuinely proud of Clarice, which I think does pay off nicely. The book, just kind of sets him up as this big source of insecurity for her. So, hopefully this does kind of round off her character arc. I'm actually in favor of this. So yeah, sorry, I got a little distracted. But, yeah, Polyphemus, he looks about right. I don't know about the clothing is my only concern. But other than that, I like the design. Okay, so, you may notice in that scene with the Kronos sarcophagus, Kronos tells Luke to kill the son of Poseidon. I'm not entirely sure that fits with either what's set up in this book or with, how Luke and Kronos are characterized earlier in the series, back in season 1. Because at this point in the book, Luke is trying to recruit Percy, like he did at the end of season 1. And they actually kind of got backwards now that I think about it. Because book 1 ended with Luke trying to kill Percy, and book 2 had him try to recruit him. But here, season 1 ended with Luke trying to recruit Percy, and season 2 seems to be setting up that they're trying to kill him. Yeah, in the book, Kronos wants Percy alive so that he can potentially influence him to bring the prophecy true. But of course, by the end, there's also a contingency plan on top of that to bring back Thalia. Spoiler alert. But, yeah, so Kronos wants Percy alive, at least for the bulk of the book. So I'm curious what it is they're trying to do here, aside from, just build up more drama, more stakes. Like, oh, Percy could actually die. Like they're going to kill off the main character in season 205. Okay, so I just noticed that in the Charybdis scene, Percy seems to be doing something with the water to protect the boat or try to get it away from Charybdis. I don't know what exactly is happening, but we can see that's doing something. There's like a vortex going on. In the book, Percy tries to influence the water, but Charybdis, is exerting just so much raw power on the water that he can't really do much with it. So yeah, the movie wrote that off as like, oh, the Sea of Monsters isn't Poseidon's domain, which is bullshit, but the book actually had a more logical explanation. The show seems to be setting up that he's going to at least do something, have like a hope spot, or maybe even actually save everyone's day with his powers. Which is definitely going to be a little different from the books, could potentially be very different. We'll see. So yeah, that was my reaction and breakdown of everything that I noticed. Maybe I missed something, I don't know. I'm sure there'll be plenty of breakdowns coming in the future. Specifically, I'm really looking forward to the Mythology Guy's breakdown. He might notice some things that I didn't. But yeah, that's basically all I've got for you today. I don't really know how to feel about this. I'm still kind of conflicted. Hopefully they do better than season 1. I don't know for sure if they are. So yeah, I'll definitely be tuning in this December when this drops to see how they do. Hopefully they do better. Regardless, I'll still make a video talking about, because they're definitely doing some things different, so there's still going to be stuff to talk about. But hopefully it's better. I'm still not sure though. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you when I finally get those videos done.